Good morning and welcome to DBS this morning. I hope that everyone is safe. I hope all is well with you in your neck of the woods this morning. We've got some features to share with you today, which are quite relevant at this time. But first, we must tap into the news desk. Let's see what's in the headlines.
Good morning. Citizens have been reminded to wait for the all clear before venturing out after the passage of Tropical Storm Brett. The caution came from Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, who chaired a NEMAC meeting yesterday.
People, we have to stop the disposal of garbage. We have to stop littering our rivers. I need the press to try to impress upon people to not litter our rivers. Help the government in doing that, because the littering causes a problem. If you go if you look in our waterways now, you will see mattresses, you will see fridges, you will see stoves. They ought not to be there. If we would only stop or limit the littering of our waterways, that would help a lot.
While the various private and public sector agencies have indicated their readiness for the storm, there were some concerns highlighted about the general preparedness for the weather system. President of the St. Lucia Red Cross Society, Hubert Pierre, was among those expressing concerns at that NEMAC meeting. The Infrastructure Ministry also began taking steps ahead of the arrival of the tropical storm, all in an effort to minimize the damage inflicted by Tropical Storm Brett.
It really captures a lot of information. It captures, in terms of what we do, the protocols, which is in line with what NEMO is doing, our equipment, our assets. It had a list of contractors and equipment that we would need to refer to. It also tells our staff what we need to do. It establishes the disaster response center, one in the north, one in the south. It has all sort of information in there.
First response crews were put on standby so that once the all clear was given, that they could commence rehabilitative efforts. The St. Lucia Hospitality and Tourism Association expressed confidence in its contingency plans for the passage of Tropical Storm Brett. Chief Executive Officer Narani Aziz said that guest and staff safety at the various resorts remained of high priority during this time.
We have international standards that we have to comply with, as well as local emergency response protocols that we've got to comply with. As it relates to the visitors, there is the usual information provided to them. Various activities are culled from the lineup, and so everybody is basically invited to bunker down throughout the storm. As it relates to team members, different properties have different protocols. So where possible, a small cohort of key staff are kept on property, and essentially those within very close proximity to the various establishments are rostered to operate, provided we have the all clear. But of course, a lot of that engagement and interaction takes place after we've been given the green light to do so from the respective authorities.
Aziz expressed confidence that the resorts, guided by best practices, will be able to weather the storm with minimal loss or damage. The Police Welfare Association is applying pressure for a number of issues affecting the grouping and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force to be addressed. These range from poor working conditions to serious allegations of sexual impropriety by senior officers.
There were persons in authority who had been made aware through the Welfare Association of these allegations. I thought it was necessary at the time to pen a letter to the Commissioner of Police to look into this matter and to have an independent investigation, or at least to have those members who had reported to the welfare heard. Since then, I have had a conversation with the then Commissioner, Ms. Descat Pelius, who at the time indicated that she would be responding to my letter in writing. To date, we have not received a response as it pertains to the letter that was forwarded to the Commissioner of Police.
The PWA is not satisfied that its concerns are being taken seriously enough and intends to keep pressing for them to be addressed at the highest levels. Those are your top stories. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
And thank you so much, News Desk. We take a break now and come right back. our first feature, we are in the hurricane season. This is where we are. And it's important to tap into the different organizations who are here to serve us in these times. We caught up with CARITAS and we caught up with Marcia, who is the director. Marcia Haywood is the director of CARITAS. We're here with Marcia. Marcia Haywood is the director for CARITAS Antilles region, and it is not by chance. We are in the hurricane season. The Atlantic hurricane season officially is on us. Storms, we've got breath right there with us as well, and we thought it was necessary to tap into persons like you, Marcia, because you know what, sometimes it takes the little unknown for us to be driven in the direction, because there we were having a ball of a time until Brett decided to show its face, and then we realized, hey, this is some information that we need to touch base with and get out there so persons can be aware of in times of these emergencies, what obtains, what role persons like CARITAS plays, and how it is that people can tap into the resources in the case of adversity. So hi, and thank you for meeting with us on such short notice as well.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. And yes, CARITAS Antilles is the social action agency of the Roman Catholic Church. Having said that, we respond to emergencies for everyone who is impacted, and we have actually a wide experience in the region of having responded most recently to the trough victims, the November 6th, 2022 trough victims in St. Lucia and also in Belize. We've also responded to the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas, and of course Hurricanes Irma and Maria in Dominica and the British Virgin Islands. So we are poised to assist anyone who is impacted in collaboration with the local disaster response agencies like the St. Lucia Red Cross and the National Emergency Management Organization.
Right. How important and how resourceful is organizations like CARITAS, especially in times like those, being able to have that platform or that ground or that body that is able to advocate to get stuff in a faster and more timely manner in times of need?
So just last week, we conducted our regional simulation with regional and international partners. We are part of the International Confederation of CARITAS organizations throughout the world, so we are well connected. We currently have one of our initiatives, the Youth Emergency Action Committees, which has youth volunteers, over close to 200 volunteers. In St. Lucia alone, we have more throughout the region in Jamaica, Grenada, and Dominica, where youth have been trained in CPR and first aid, and they are able to adequately respond to the emergency, supporting the local emergency management framework in the country.
Right. In case of disasters, something happened. We had Brett decided to do something, and we are faced with now on the ground situations. How it is that CARITAS steps in, how it is that person can access. Do people come directly to CARITAS? How does it work? What's the protocol?
There is a mechanism in place. So our emergency deployment plan has been activated, and so as we collaborate with the local emergency management agencies, we have pre-positioned goods which would support in the initial response if need be. And of course, there is a criteria that people would have to adhere to, a vulnerability criteria, in collaboration with the assessments that will be carried out once the Red Cross has finished its 72-hour mandate according to legislation. Right. So we would collaborate to avoid duplication, and it wouldn't be that persons would come to us, but we would actually go to them through the use of our volunteers and our collaborative means with the NEMO and the Red Cross.
Wonderful. Now, in terms of advisory, because you've seen it, like you said, you've responded to quite a number of disasters throughout the region thus far. So in terms of a person, us on the ground now, what are some of the measures that we can take that you've seen, some of the problem little areas that we would have probably rolled over that we could probably start looking at in the face of adversities?
Number one, I would say, as our youth volunteers have been trained to do, we conduct and we help households develop their family disaster plans and kits. There must be a to-go kit that you have with your important documents, your medication, enough water according to the sphere standards per person, etc. And of course, just generally be being prepared and your family communicating that information so that persons know what to do, especially if you live in low-lying areas or vulnerable areas, or you have vulnerable persons like persons with disabilities or older persons or children, knowing what to do before the storm hits.
Right. Now, you mentioned that, and you said that your young ones are trained in that department and you normally help people as well. in terms of preparing people, helping people, how do we access help? Like, for instance, I've got a household. I'm not sure where to start, what to do, and I would like your assistance in putting together that plan. How do I?
So our volunteers are currently in 5 areas in St. Lucia, in Tiroche, Marcia, Forestier, Leclerc, Bexar, and Moshi, and we plan to expand. However, you can call on our office. I will give you the contact information, and we will be happy to help you develop that family disaster plan. It's not too late. We have just started the hurricane season with a bang.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Stay safe, and of course, continue the great work that you all continue to do with people throughout the region as well. Thank you again, Marcia.
You are most welcome.
And our second feature, also another institution that is very much one that we need to stay close to, especially in these times, is the St. Lucia Red Cross. And we spoke with Mr. Pear as well. We're here with Mr. Pear from the Red Cross. Of course, it is that time of year, and we know what we're dealing with, all right? And we definitely need to tap into these agencies, because they are the ones who are here year-round, making sure that they prepare to ensure that in times like these, they are the bodies that's going to step in to ensure that we remain grounded and we remain safe. Mr. Pear, how has the preparation been going? I know the Red Cross is very much on point all year round as well. So this is not just at Hurricane Point. The Red Cross is always very much active. But with the hurricane season upon us now, how has it been for the Red Cross?
Well, if I tell you if it has been normal, it has been normal. The fact that we've got to prepare all year round, and for any eventuality, we try to stay on top of our game. What we have noticed is the first time in history that we are having a storm so early. But whether or not it came in maybe January, February, we're already ready. We have enough non-food items to help at least 1,000 families, and we have our other brother and sister societies around the Caribbean. First of all, we have the disaster platform named PIRAC, we have also PADRU, and we have the international world. So we are well ready.
Wonderful. In the event something does truly go wrong, roll out again the protocols that exist, because there are blueprints in place as to how the process is to be undertaken, including the Red Cross and everybody else included. So what are the processes like in the case of an emergency and something happens? John Public, how should we react? What should be our mode of action?
Okay, number one, first and foremost, after the passage of any given eventuality, ours is to go out there and make sure we collect all the relevant information. Once that has been had and we can identify what places have been impacted worse, then we ourselves go to the field, because the Red Cross is like the Marines. As soon as anything happens, we are out there first. One of the critical things for us is always transportation and everything. But we have very dedicated volunteers who to see to it that these things are done. Beyond that, we have the Good Samaritans who, because something has happened, they walk up the Red Cross step to try and help their fellow men. We try to take them in, but we've got to do it in stages, because if they're going to have the Red Cross emblem, we've got to instruct them as to its use and everything, indicative and so on, and the power they possess once they have this thing on. So we've got to be very, very, very careful. But generally, people walk up to the Red Cross, we try to help. But the fact remains, we also know this is an opportune time for persons who had no kind of problems to walk up the Red Cross step. So this is why the assessments and the surveys are very, very important.
Wonderful. We had a chat earlier with CARITAS as well. Is that one of the bodies that you also collaborate with?
Oh yes. Marcia Boxhill and myself, yes, we are good partners. I mean, I remember when she first came on board, I kind of took her under my wings, and we have been friends ever since. Yeah.
Right. Volunteerism is what you do, you know?
Yeah.
The Red Cross is fully and heavily volunteerism. I'm going to tap into you now on a personal level.
Yeah.
What is it like, you know, to devote such personal time to this sort of effort? Because let's say, for instance, a storm was to hit. And you got to leave your family down now. You've got to, once you make sure that they're okay, you don't have to leave them and now tend to every other person who is affected on the land or in the area that is affected. What is it like on a personal level to devote such time and effort?
I know what it is because I've been on mission to Grenada, your country.
Right.
I've been on mission to.
Were you there for Ivan?
I was in charge of the whole thing in Ivan with the Federation and everything. I was there in Haiti also. So I know what it's like to leave your family behind. I mean, in country, you can get up next morning and go home. But when you go to these adverse countries and you've got to sleep under a tent or under the skyline and everything. So I know what it has been, and you've got to be dedicated, devoted, and I think you've got to be born to do this thing. There are certain things people are just born to do it, and that you cannot take out from them. Some may try to help, but they can't last long. And we know if you start to feel, very sorry and you begin to empathize with people, get out. It means it's getting to you and you're going to break down,
All right. Really?
So yeah. We when we go to places like Grenada and Haiti and we have to see a shrink after. I mean, Haiti was one of my worst experiences where I could watch persons being dumped down, like a truck carrying stones and thing, and you dump dead bodies and you look around and people are within the dead bodies picking pockets and. It's quite something. You've got to be somebody, I suppose, exceptional.
What do you
special.
do now? You have to do a lot of debriefing yourself.
Well, debriefing is two things you do, rest and recovery. And at least you talk about it constantly to somebody, so you unload that type of thing. And people talk with you and then you rest. And we have people who go from disaster to disaster and they have not returned home. I had a friend once he got home. His son, whom he loved very much, he saw the son throwing bread, which was common, and he slapped him across the face because he saw people eating grass and so. And he couldn't put the two together. So it can affect you as a responder, really.
Right. Do you believe that there's room for us to have forums where we have persons who have experienced these sort of disasters to, probably just educate some of the just normal minds who are just out there living life, thinks it's all fun and games? Because sometimes we wait until it gets to that point before but when you have persons who can break it down and they can feel that energy and that sense of connection to things or people who have to do or don't have a choice but to do opposite, do you think that might in the future might be something we should probably look at doing?
It is absolutely critical. I mean, I remember I was in Geneva when I was told that there was an earthquake at home. And once I landed, one company called me in to talk to the staff because they were traumatized. Our people, our volunteers, every time they go out, at the end of the day, they must debrief. It is something that you have to do, or else people are going to live with images that can destroy them later and nobody knows why. And mental illness comes in different shapes and forms. Because even for that which we do now, what they call it now, LGBTQ and all the rest of it you hear about, and the practice, it used to be under mental health until they took it out and so. So as far as that is concerned, yes, we need each other and we need to talk about it. We need to develop forums like this. Persons need to understand the level of trauma that goes to one. I mean, there's a case in point that I'm hearing about. There's a young man who went to pick up his sister and he didn't know somebody got shot. And when he got there, it was his sister. And I think he asked for help, but no, everybody ignored him at the time and now he's on the streets, he got cuckoo. Yeah. So it's a sad thing, and this is the reality of it. So you have been traumatized through storm, whatever it is, you need to talk to somebody. And we need to let people know that this exists. That's why we have counselors. People look at counseling differently now because at the time counselors were some mad people, blah, blah, blah. But people understand the whole gambit of what it is now.
Wonderful. That being said, what would you like to leave with our listeners on this day?
For me, as far as I could tell them two things. If I could comfort them at all in times like this, is that the Red Cross is there and we're going to respond and we are hoping for the better. As we see it, we look and we see it is north of the island, between the Channel, Martinique and Lucia, but we still will not let our guards down. We're asking people to listen to the authorities, get off the streets early, go home. If you know your home may not be able to withstand winds, plan with your neighbor, which you should have done a long, long time ago, because it's absolutely relevant. And these are the things they need to do now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Pei.
Yeah.
Your work is cut out for you, but thank you for your great work and your volunteerism.
Yeah. Thank you for your warmth, which is what I may need now.
Wonderful.
morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's SocaCize session. Leading the wine, we have Suzanne from Studio Fit and Healthy 911 and myself, Shani, from SocaCize St. Lucia. Let's get ready to flaunt with SocaCize. This morning's workout is a cardio soca jam routine to Eat Man Money by Frost. Let's do this.
God made woman to eat man money.
Let's go.
Now let's see she spend it.
No lawyer.
No lawyer can defend it.
Next time.
Can be broke if she buy seed.
Hey.
She can spend all your money.
Take the arms up. Let's go. For my low impact. Step it out. Good. 4, 3, 2. Shake it.
I working hard all my life. Cause I tell myself I want a wife.
Next side.
But no matter how I save,
4,
feel like
3,
she gon' put me
2.
in the grave.
Take it up. And
Money always spending. Me
4,
pocket on the
3,
drinking.
2. Next
But at
side.
the end of the day, hear what
4,
old people
3,
say.
1, 2, 3.
God made man.
Hey.
Man made money.
Hey.
God made woman to eat
Let's
man
go.
money. Now man see she spend it.
No lawyer.
No lawyer can defend it.
Can be broke.
Can be broke if she buy seed. She can spend all your money.
Take the arms up. Let's go. 4, 3, 2, 1. And
All fellas playing macho, spending endless money like
2,
hope.
1.
Women have a bad booty, going to fast cash to get money.
Take it up.
Like they can't see a skirt pass, dropping lines even if they cross.
Next side.
Forgetting what people say. Have enough man
This side.
suffering
1,
today
2, 3.
because
And
God made man.
hey.
Man made money.
Hey.
God made woman to eat
Now
man
next.
money. Now let's see she spend it.
Hour.
No lawyer can defend it.
Can be broke.
Can be broke if she buy seed.
Woo.
She can spend all your money.
Now back.
Now let's see she spend it.
No lawyer.
No lawyer can defend it.
Hour.
Can be broke if she buy seed.
We will spend.
She can spend all your money.
God made.
God made man.
Hey.
Man made money. God made woman to eat man money.
God made.
God made man. Man made money. God made woman to eat
Now-
man money.
Hey.
Now let's see she spend it.
No lawyer.
No lawyer can defend it.
Can be broke.
Can be broke if she buy seed.
She will spend.
She go spend all your money.
Check it out. Hey. To the end. 4, 3, 2, 1. Every cent. That was this morning's session. We hope you are feeling sexy, sultry, and strong. Do remember to flaunt today.
And that is our show for this morning. We hope everyone continues to remain safe. This is DBS This Morning.